One of the best things about the Z Flip 3 is that the launch price is finally something a regular flagship buyer can chew. $1,000 is not a low price, but for a phone that folds, I think it's pretty tempting. The highlights are really the new design, a much better folding and unfolding experience, the high refresh rate, 120Hz display, better hinge system with IPX8 water resistance, and a larger cover screen. Now let's start by diving deep into the design. The Z Flip 3 is a no-compromise smartphone, except for battery, and we'll talk about that. It comes with flagship specs and works like a regular, high-end smartphone when it's open. And when you're done using it, you've got a choice. Do you want to shut it or do you want to keep it open? Now, typically what I found myself doing was, if I thought I was done using the phone for a while, I would shut it and keep it aside. But it actually worked like reverse psychology. Because I shut it, I didn't want to use it too quickly. It sort of worked like a discouragement tactic, but in a good way. But yeah, you could totally use it as a regular everyday smartphone, which is super sleek, thin, lightweight, and also folds if and when you want it. The phone definitely feels very light, although it is taller than most devices you would have used in the past, and getting to the top with just one hand is very, very difficult. Even the volume buttons are a far reach, and I think it would have been a good idea to have like the volume buttons on the left side so you could easily access with your thumb or with your forefinger. A very small quirk, when I do take it out of my pocket, I've opened it a lot of times in the wrong way and then I have to turn it around to unlock. But if you get yourself the cream color variant, it's got that dual tone color, the black and the cream, which helps you decide on the correct orientation much faster than the black variant, which is all black. So yeah, and I think the dual tone also looks better than all black. The hinge now is so much better, in fact, good enough that Samsung has it certified for IPX8 water resistance. That's an incredible achievement, especially with so many moving parts. Samsung also managed to put in Dolby Atmos stereo speakers, which I think is a huge level up from the previous generation of flip phones. And they're plenty loud. I mean, almost at par with the S21 Ultra or the Note 20 Ultra, which I think again is incredible. One thing to keep in mind, and this is not applicable for all markets, this device does not support dual SIM or expandable storage. So 128 gigs of storage or 256 gigs of storage is pretty much what you get throughout the life cycle of the phone. So if I were you, I think the 256 gigs would be a much smarter buy. The price difference is pretty small and you get double the storage. The back of the device is Gorilla Glass Victus, which is very strong, very tough, and will protect your phone pretty well. The quality of that hinge is really good. It's got the perfect resistance. I mean, it'll stop exactly where you want it to stop, and it's just got no loose parts. Overall, and I have to commend Samsung on this, I feel very confident while folding and unfolding this phone, just how seamless it is, and I'm not it's in a very carefree way, I'm not worried about breaking it. It doesn't feel fragile or sensitive, and that's exactly what you want when you're spending so much money on a folding phone. Now, there is one caveat. The phone does not support 25-watt super fast charging. It charges with a regular 15-watt charger, and it takes slightly longish to charge, but hey, again, it's just 3,300 milliamps. It's not like 5,000 milliamps that you get in the S21 Ultra. That would have taken very long to charge with a 15-watt charger. Because the capacity is small, the 15-watt charger doesn't feel all that slow. And now let's talk about that crease, which is obviously there. It's right above the keyboard, so you don't feel it as much while texting, but while scrolling, depending on how you scroll, from middle of the device or from the bottom area, you may or may not cross that crease. And you do see a lot of that, especially when there's glare on the screen. So yeah, it's definitely there, but something that you may learn to embrace. Now, before I talk about the display inside, let's talk about that small display on the outside. Samsung has now given you a 1.9-inch large cover screen, and that is one of the best things they could have done for the Flip. Of course, that enables a lot of things, and one of the most important ones is the access to notifications. You can progressively view them, read full notifications, and even dismiss them from outside. Another very useful widget is the music widget, so you can play, pause your music, and change tracks. And then there are a bunch of other widgets. You get the weather widget, your calendar widget, so you can see your schedule for the day. You get your alarms, a list of alarms can be accessed, the steps you've taken, a voice recorder, so quick access to record anything, and a timer that you can quickly set. And needless to say, you can go into settings to the cover screen section, and you can change, turn on or off these widgets, and you can reorder them basis, your own preference. Another great thing about the cover screen is that if you accept a phone call from the cover screen, it automatically switches the loudspeaker on because it assumes that that's what you want to do. And you can have your discussion, your conversation, and then you can just disconnect the call. And another huge advantage is that you can use the cover screen as a preview window to take selfies using the primary, that is the camera at the back. And you can just swipe to access video mode or swipe up and down to switch between ultra wide and primary lens. So yeah, the cover screen does a lot, and I think a lot of that is actually pretty useful. Now let's talk about the display inside. So you get a 6.7-inch Full HD dynamic AMOLED screen with 120Hz refresh rate. So it stacks right up with the best of Samsung flagships like the S21 Ultra, and therefore one of the best displays in any smartphone available today. But because it's really wide, you do see a lot of letterboxing, especially when you're watching YouTube videos. Yeah, you can zoom to fill in, but you're gonna get some footage cropped off. But for some videos that are already shot in wide aspect ratio, they look phenomenal. On Netflix too, there could be some shows or movies that have wider letterboxing on the sides, or a movie like this which has almost no letterboxing. The same concept will apply to games, but I'm playing Call of Duty here, and as you can see, it's edge to edge. It's amazing. It's so immersive. Just because it's so wide, you almost get like a, like one of those Nintendos that you're playing with, and it's amazing. I really like it. There's a lot of separation between my hands, and it just gives me more viewing experience of the game, and my hands are just so much on the edge. It's actually a really different experience. And yeah, because it's powered by a Snapdragon 888 with Adreno 660 GPU, gameplay is amazing. Alright, now let's talk about the camera. And the camera department is not as loaded as many other flagships from Samsung at the same price point are. But, moment of truth, I think the primary camera and the ultra-wide camera can still take some really fabulous pictures. So here are some samples. On the left, you will see pictures taken using the primary lens, and on the right is the ultra-wide lens from the same spot. And you know what? I'm not going to comment much on these. I think these are great though. What I'll do is I'll leave a link in the description so you can download these pictures and you can evaluate the quality for yourself. If you like it, right? And what I'll also try to do is put up a full camera review of the Galaxy Flip 3, and hopefully that comes out soon. Sure, there's no telephoto lens or periscope lens, but I think they're much less used by majority of the people. And I think it's a good idea to drop those lenses, keep the primary and the ultra wide, and if that helps in making the phone lighter, thinner, and cheaper, and that way have it available for more people to purchase, I think that's a pretty good idea. In terms of camera modes, you pretty much get everything that you did get with the Galaxy S21 Ultra. So yeah, even the Pro Video mode and the Director's View, all of these are right here with all of the settings enabled. And you can shoot up to 4K videos at 60 FPS, which I think is pretty much what anyone would need at this point in time. Now the selfie camera may not be all that great, but if I know that I can click a selfie using the rear camera with the cover screen on, I think I'll be inclined to using that much more often than I would with the actual selfie camera. So it's a trade-off, you may have a different point of view on that, but that's what I think. Okay, now let's talk about battery, and that's probably one area where there's maximum compromise. See, they didn't compromise on the display. It's high resolution, super bright, dynamic AMOLED, 120Hz screen, which obviously sucks a lot of battery. And then it has a powerful Snapdragon 888. But given the design, they wanted to make sure that it's thin enough so that when it folds, it's not very thick. The fact that it should be able to fold itself, and they had to split the battery because of it, and that's probably why they could not get the capacity all that up. And therefore, you get just about borderline all-day battery. Hey, if you're home all day on Wi-Fi and all you're doing is a bit of everything, texting, phone calls, music, a bit of watching videos, you'll just about sail through the day. But if you're heavy on any of those things like gaming or using the camera or streaming videos or even a lot of phone calls, you're gonna see your battery die off just about when it hits late evening. The only thing that I think I'll be concerned as a user would be, would I get too battery anxious if I'm going to be out all day? Would I feel like having the charger on me all the time? Would I look for every opportunity to charge the phone? So these could be things in your mind. So My point is just to put this across so you keep that in mind. But hey, you know what? Every time you're using a phone, you get used to the battery performance and you figure out the routine that you need to follow to make sure that you're always charged. And today 5,000 seems like a lot. Tomorrow it might feel too less. Now, there are a few more compromises which may or may not be important to you, but let me call those out for you. So here they are. The S21 Ultra has USB Type-C 3.2, this one has 3.1. There's no Samsung Dex, there's no S Pen support. The S21 Ultra has Wi-Fi 6E, which is slightly more efficient and faster, and the Flip 3 is not dust resistant. Now, none of these are really deal breakers, but again, just for your sake, I wanted to put them out just so you're aware. Alright, that's pretty much what I wanted to highlight about this phone, but there's one point that I really want to make, and that's if you don't see yourself folding and unfolding this phone too often, and you still go ahead and get this phone, you're pretty much buying a flagship level phone, except for, the battery performance and the camera, which are just about okay. So would you really want to do that? I mean, why won't you just then get the S21 Ultra, which is really good with feature-packed camera and really good battery life? The point I'm trying to make is that a folding phone pretty much serves just two purposes. One, because you fold it, it becomes a smaller form factor, so it's more pocketable, and it's great for women who carry phones in their purses. Or else, it's just really a style statement. So yeah, just make sure that at least one or both of those purposes are met before you go ahead and buy these phones. Otherwise, what's the point of getting a folding phone and you're not going to be folding? But yeah, if you're looking for a folding phone, this is it. This is finally a folding phone that you can get, you can buy, and it's going to work flawlessly. And hats off to Samsung for that. I think this phone sets the benchmark that other companies can now build off. Anyway, guys, that's pretty much it on the Flip 3. If you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comment section. And as always, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell notification icon. See you guys in the next one.